This is David. Welcome back behind the velvet rope. Let's just get right into it today because we are joined by the one and only Chris Frutrell.
Hey, how are you?
What's going on? How are you today?
I'm great, man. I today's the first day so far on the trip where I haven't had much running around to do. So it's been nice to just kind of chill, do my normal everyday work and get to talk to you for a bit.
Well, that's good. Listen, we should start by saying you work for Mood. And for everyone who doesn't know, Mood ships 100% federally legal THC from small US farms right to your front door. Now, people that listen to this podcast know that I like to not leave the house. I enjoy staying home. I am very social, but I haven't bought something in an actual physical store in decades. So the fact that Mood ships right to your front door is about as good as it gets.
Absolutely, it is. In the age of Amazon and DoorDash and all those things, we fit right in. Packaging's very discreet. It doesn't advertise to your neighbors or mailman what you're purchasing. But like you said, even if we did, it is all federally legal. And you can go to mood.com to place an order.
And you can go to mood.com/velvet and get 20% off.
Ooh,
Yes, we're offering 20% off with mood.com/velvet, or you can just go to mood.com and enter code velvet. And Mood has, this is why I like Mood. You guys have everything. I'm not into the vapes, but for someone who is into the vapes, they have vapes, pre-rolls, beverages, the gummies and the edibles. Now you have my attention. Like everyone knows I love food. You guys have popcorn, you have caramels, you have candies, Rice
oh,
Krispie
absolutely.
treats.
We have a local bakery we work with to do brownies and cookies as well, that are fantastic. It's our Andy's Bakery line. But yeah, we have a wide variety. Basically anything you're into as far as cannabis goes, we can get you sorted out.
And the gummies, the sleepy gum, the sleep time gummies they work
That's
miracles.
They absolutely do. I'm a huge proponent of those.
Me too. I was never one, like, I just don't like taking like a sleeping pill or anything,
Yeah,
but I find that gummies work so well.
yeah, absolutely. I sleeping pills leave me drowsy in the morning. You know what I mean? You sleep really hard and you wake up and you're kind of out of it a little bit. And don't get me wrong, if that works for you, fantastic. But yeah, for me, those gummies do exactly the right trick. And I wake up the next day and I don't feel uh, sleepy or drowsy or hungover or anything like that. So yeah, they are really well formulated.
Me too. I'm a huge fan of those. So everyone should go to mood.com/velvet and get 20% off. So Mood is your employer. So talk to me like, you're also here, like you beat cancer. So congratulations.
Thank you very much. Fingers crossed it stays that way. Yeah. So I work for Mood in operations. I do compliance related things, legal contract review, communicating what we can sell and ship where, those sorts of things. I head our fraud department, and yeah, I started working for Mood when I first got sick. When I first got diagnosed with cancer, I had to retire from my career as a chef. I just couldn't physically continue to do that anymore. Couldn't do that and go through treatment. I went through chemo and radiation, and then chemo again. And I needed, I needed a source of income, and fortunately was able to pivot to working for Mood. And they've been legitimately fantastic to work for. Now, granted, this is my first foray into uh, the tech sphere or the corporate kind of world, but all of the horror stories I've heard from friends or seen on TikTok or Reddit, I've experienced absolutely none. And they have been so great when I was still going through treatment. They were so great and understanding about my availability, maybe being off a little bit, or me being, really, really exhausted some days and needing to take a little bit of extra time for myself. Um, and then once I floated the idea of this trip, they really took it and ran with it and have been so supportive. Have decided to help raise money for the Colorectal Cancer Alliance, which is huge. A great way for us to be able to give back and help a cause that's near and dear to my heart. So, yeah, just again, just been fantastic people.
How old were you when you were diagnosed? Like, and how did that all come about?
Oh, I was 38, and the thing about getting sick with cancer, especially, it, it came out of nowhere. I say it came out of nowhere. I had no other health issues in my life, right? I've been so fortunate, so lucky that I've not, really had any sort of, never even had a broken bone. Um, and then to go from that kind of being your, how your life is to immediately it being something completely different, and you are so sick, and the possibility of things going poorly, being on the table, is terrifying. And I had symptoms for probably 8 months or so before I ended up going to a gastroenterologist. I'd gone to urgent care, but when my symptoms first started to develop, they weren't interrupting my work life. They weren't interrupting my social life. It was uncomfortable and unpleasant, but it wasn't anything that I thought was a big deal, right? And like a lot of men, uh, both my age and older, I don't go to the doctor when I should, right? I didn't listen to those signs. I wish I had. Um, Ended up going to urgent care one time for it, and they said it was probably X, Y, or Z, and didn't seem too terribly concerned. And so, I kind of just left it at that and thought, okay, this is just something I'll deal with and I'll live with. And then those symptoms started to get worse and worse and worse, to the point where I couldn't work anymore. I mean, I couldn't function, and started to perhaps was in a bit of denial as far as how serious what was happening to me was. Um, and I was house sitting for my sister one day. I have two baby sisters. I say baby, they're obviously adults, but younger than I am. And I was house sitting for one of my sisters one weekend, and she comes home after the weekend, and she looks at me and just bursts into tears. And she says, "Bubby, something is wrong. I need you to go to a doctor." And I mean, broke my heart. And I said, "Okay, I will for you, because it's so important to you. I'll do that." And so I got the referral, went and saw the gastroenterologist, had an endoscopy and colonoscopy done. They put you under. And, again, I didn't think it was going to be a big deal. I didn't expect there to be a negative result at the end of it. So I was planning to go by myself. I didn't want anybody to come with me. I was like, oh, no, I don't need, it's just kind of dismissive. Again, maybe a little bit of denial there. But fortunately, my dad was in town, and my second mom, they were in town. And so they decided to come with me. And I remember waking up from anesthesia, and the doctor said, the first thing out of his mouth was, why did you wait so long to come see a doctor? And I knew obviously that that's probably not something you want to hear when you wake up from anesthesia. And yeah, turned out I ended up with a 3-inch malignant tumor in my rectum, so I had stage 3 rectal cancer at that point. Um, I got it because I have a genetic mutation called Lynch syndrome. It's a inherited gene trait. Fortunately, none of my other family members have it. They've all gone and got tested for it and that sort of thing. So I was just, I'm as unfortunate as it was that I got it. I'm still extremely happy that I'm the only one who got it. Right? If I could choose somebody in my family to get it, I would have volunteered to be that person. And so knowing that my sisters and my dad and my cousins and all of those people, kind of extended family are in the clear is super comforting. And like you said at the beginning, I am officially 1 year cancer free. So this trip is a celebration of that. And yeah,
How did your sister, I'm just really curious about all this. I
yeah,
mean,
please.
cancer runs in my family. Also, like, why did your sister say something's wrong and go to the doctor? Like, was it the way you looked when she saw you, or
Here's the way
just,
I looked. I'd lost a ton of weight. I obviously when I was going through chemo after I got diagnosed, I lost even more weight. So I couldn't speak to exactly what I was when she broke down like that, but I lost almost 70 pounds total. And so at that point, I was probably down 30 pounds. I had no appetite. I was not eating very much, if at all. I was pale. I just looked sickly, for lack of a better term. And I certainly didn't look like myself. Um, and, she knew about some of the issues I'd been having, upset stomach, the sensation of having to go to the bathroom all the time, just these kind of unpleasant things. And I think my appearance coupled with that knowledge really kind of sent her over the edge that she was so worried about me that she thought, it was something bad. And lo and behold, it was. So again, I wouldn't. wouldn't be here if she hadn't insisted on me going that day.
What, because you mentioned the warning signs, I guess, like what were they? Was it just like an upset stomach and what you felt like you had to go to the bathroom all the time, or were there other
Yeah,
things that,
so it really the onset was really this sensation like I had to go to the bathroom constantly, 14, 15 times a day. I would go and nothing productive would happen. I wasn't having a bowel movement. I wasn't there was no gas or anything, but it felt like if I did not run to the toilet right now, I was going to have an accident. Um, After the first week or two of that, when I finally understood, okay, nothing is actually happening, I'm not in danger of, soiling myself. Um, I was able to just kind of grimace a little bit and wait for the sensation to pass and then continue to do what I was doing, right? So again, at work, I'm training a new employee. I was a chef, obviously, and so training a new employee, doing X, Y, or Z, I would just kind of close my eyes and grit my teeth for a second, and the sensation would pass. Obviously, then again, as those symptoms continued to exacerbate, I started noticing blood in my stool or blood after having a bowel movement. Typically, that's not necessarily indicative of a larger problem. They say that bright red is normally something toward the exterior, hemorrhoid, a tear, that sort of thing. Um, so again, didn't really, okay, that happens, okay, it's not a huge deal. Maybe I've got hemorrhoids. Um, and then I started getting having horrible night sweats. I would wake up, I mean, drenched like I jumped into a swimming pool fully clothed, sheets soaked. Again, and then my appetite just disappeared. So I wasn't eating, I was losing weight. I was so just fatigued all the time. And then yeah, stomach cramps began after that. Just basically anything that could go wrong with your GI system is kind of what I started feeling. And again, so I had that happen, woke up, well, doctor tells me that. I look at my dad and I look at the sheet of paper they give you and I see the word malignant. And it's like that scene in Breaking Bad when Walt gets his cancer diagnosis where the audio stops, right? And you just see his face, and you can see that the doctor's still talking, but you don't hear what's going on. It was just like that in real life. I couldn't tell you what my dad said or the doctor said. I looked down and saw malignant and thought, I mean, my life is over. Um, Obviously, I'm still here. I'm incredibly fortunate. So did chemo, did infusion chemo, had a port put in. After that, I did radiation, targeted radiation. Had wonderful oncologists, wonderful doctors in Chattanooga, which is where I was at the time. I moved back down there because that's where my family is. So I would have some support and not be doing it on my own. Uh, and then once I got done with those, the next step was supposed to be surgery. So I was supposed to have a very serious I'm supposed to have part of my colon removed and part of my rectum removed, and I was going to have an ostomy bag, an ileostomy, and have a bag that I had my bowel movements through. Um, and that type of surgery is such a big deal. I said, I've got to get a second opinion. If there's an opportunity for me to not have to do this, then I need to, I need to see about that before I make this such a big decision. Went to Vanderbilt in Nashville, met with another oncologist there, and he thought I was a candidate for a watch and wait protocol. That the chemo and radiation had worked so well that surgery wasn't necessary, and that I would do scopes and scans every 3 months for the next 2 years to to ensure that everything would still look good. And so, like I said, it's been a year of that. They went for the tumor board. They approved that means of treatment for me, and it's been a year of doing that, and so far so good. Every biopsy's come back negative. Every scope looks clean. Blood work looks good every time. So again, it may not be forever. That's always something lingers in my head every time you go. Oh gosh, what are these results going to be? But for now, I'll take it.
and yours was, this is hereditary. It wasn't like any bad habits or anything they said you should have
No,
eaten healthier or,
no. Unfortunately for me, it was just genetics. Luck of the draw. And I certainly indulged in some unhealthy behaviors in my life. I've tried to have, I just turned 40. Um, Obviously, having a cancer diagnosis, you change some of your lifestyle because of that. But yeah, nothing, no contributing factors beyond just the luck of the genetic draw. Um, yeah.
Talk to me about, because, just talk to us about your cross-country road trip that you're now doing with Mood. You alluded to it a few times. This is kind of a celebration of your 1 year.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I first got my all clear diagnosis a year ago, I had this idea to do a road trip, to do a really a bucket list road trip, to go visit places I've never been before, places like the Grand Canyon and Yellowstone, to go visit some of the cities I have been before, but I love, like New Orleans and Houston. Um, and so I kind of had this idea in my head, and it wasn't the right time a year ago. For this to happen. But when I came up on my most recent scopes and scans, like I said, you always had this idea that maybe it's going to go the other way. Maybe you're going to get bad news. So I said to myself, I said, you know what? Whatever the results are, I'm going to do this trip. If it's bad news, then it's a real bucket list trip, and I'm gonna go do these things and see these sites that I've always wanted to. And if it's good news, it's going to be a celebration, and I'm going to go do it. Uh, part of part of this sort of diagnosis um, is that that switch that gets flipped. It goes from life before cancer to life after cancer, and it's flipped the second the doctor told me he found the tumor, right? So it puts into perspective how precious life is. It's so cliche, but I mean, it's cliche for a reason, because that's absolutely what happens. And so I didn't want to continue with a someday. Oh, I'll do this trip someday. Oh, I'll get to go see those places when I retire. I don't know if the cancer is going to come back. I don't know if I'm ever going to retire, especially in this climate. And I don't want to be 75 and not able to hike some of these places if and when that does happen. So to me, it was, I have the means and the immediacy to be able to do this. So I'm going to do it. And I talked to some of my bosses at Mood. I said, "Hey, what would be helpful for the company if I'm going to do this?" They were fine with me working digitally. We all work from home, or work digitally anyway. So I knew I could work from anywhere doing my normal job. And I said, "Hey, what can I do that's beneficial? Can I go visit some of our vendors who grow our flour and make our gummies? Could I visit? We've launched our wholesale operation, so we're in retail stores in some places." I said, could I go there and just in some way be helpful and productive? And Jake, our one of our co-founders, really loved the idea, and they actually bought an RV, this beautiful van that I'm in, that had it wrapped in our branding. I got on the passenger door. I have the world's largest joint on the side. I feel like the weed ice cream man driving this around. But again, they really went above and beyond to help facilitate this for me, and so yeah, I'm 10 days in to out of 130. So I'm on the road for another 4 months or so, making my way through Texas now, and then Arizona, California, up the Pacific Coast Highway, Oregon, Washington, Glacier, Zion, Moab, all these national parks. And I'm just so blessed that they have been so helpful and supportive, and that I'm still here to be able to do this.
Well, I was going to say, I used to run HR and recruiting at large corporations. I know this is your first foray into corporate America. You and I have the opposite because I'm now not in corporate America. But
Right.
I mean, this is not a normal company, even in
No.
2025, that just lets you work from home, lets you go on a road trip, lets you do bucket list stuff. Even
Yeah.
if you are driving a truck that is branded in the largest joint, that is still what a great company, right?
Yeah, again, absolutely they are. And I've gotten, we do all work remotely. We get together a couple times a year at our in North Carolina at our facility. And Jake and David, our co-founders, are just the most genuine people, the most supportive people. They really genuinely care about their employees. And again, I this they've gone so far above and beyond for this trip. And again, I'm just really lucky to be here.
See, I mean, I don't know. Look, I think most people look at a younger age in my 20s and 30s, no, but I think now in life, I live my life like I've already had a cancer diagnosis. Like we were just raised that way. Now, granted, there are still things, I mean, I love to work. So there's lots of things. I've been to all 7 continents, I've been to like
Oh
58
wow.
countries. I mean, granted, there are things I put off now because I'm so busy with work, but I truly, like, I never get mad if you're late to meet me for dinner. I just really live
Yeah.
like I am I live my life like I'm not a hypochondriac. I don't go to the doctor all the time either, but I live my life like I could have a cancer diagnosis today. Really, I just do. I really
Yeah,
wake up every day. So I feel like I get like when you say, it is like that you're Breaking Bad and you don't hear what they're saying and now your life you live a different way. I get it because I really feel just one day I woke up that way and we were raised that way anyway, but like
yeah.
just like you forget everything else. Like if you have your health, you have everything.
Yeah, and just the ability to seize the opportunities in front of you, if you've got this list of things you want to do, and I call it a bucket list, but for anyone, and you have the ability to do it. Do it alone if you have to. Do it scared. I've never done this before. I've driven cross country plenty of times. I've never lived in a van for 4.5 months. You know what I mean? I've never um, done this, and so as excited as I am, it's a little bit nervous. I'm a little nervous as well, but do it anyway, and really, really seize those opportunities when you can, um, because you step off the curb tomorrow and get hit by a bus, God forbid. But then what do? You go, okay, I didn't get to do X, Y, and Z like I wanted to. Well, why not, man? Go for it. And you don't necessarily need a cancer diagnosis, to your point, to live that way. One of the big things for me, since I've got sick, was that I say yes to things. I try new experiences, even if they're things that I don't necessarily, may not have been in my wheelhouse or I may not be super interested in. Yes, I'm going to give it a try. I want to go. I want to experience that thing. I'm going to jump out of an airplane soon. Terrifying, but sure, why not, man? Like, let's do it. Um, so yeah, just really, and I hope that that's part of what I'm able to do with this trip. You can obviously follow along on social media and on our website. We've got a landing page. But I hope that's part of what I can do for people, in addition to really encouraging men, everyone, but specifically men, because I promise I was just like you. I did not go to the doctor. Get checked out, man. It's not, and I get it's cost prohibitive. Insurance in this company's awful. In this country is awful. My company. There are lots of reasons not to go to the doctor, but saving yourself a diagnosis like I did, the again, I'm so fortunate that it was stage 3 and that the treatment worked so well. But if I could have caught it when it was stage 1, I would have been much better off. You know what I mean? Like, so I just really want to encourage people to go get checked out when you notice something's wrong, especially when it comes to your GI tract, your heart, those sorts of things. Or you don't want to mess around with those. And because certainly not everybody is fortunate as I am. It very easily could have gone the other way. It still might someday. I'm still at a much greater risk of having a recurrence or developing a different type of cancer. And so, that also sticks in my mind as I go through this is like, okay, if I get that bad news 5 years from now, I'll have at least done this part of it. I'll at least got to do these things. I'll have woken up and seen a sunrise at the Grand Canyon. I've hiked in Glacier National Park. Um, so yeah,
I agree. I do get a colonoscopy every 5 years, so at least I do that. And
absolutely. No, 100%. And it's unpleasant. You know what I mean? Like it ain't fun. Um, but it's not the end of the world. It's a day's worth of recovery. The prep sucks. But it ought not be a deterrent for something that could obviously save. And yeah.
totally. No, I agree. And then as we wrap up, yes, everyone could watch and follow along. You're going to be vlogging this whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to take as much video and photos as I can of this experience. I had a wonderful first week on the road. Um, you can find us on Instagram, and then tour.mood.com is the landing page for the trip. So you can go there, follow updates. We're doing meetups again in some of the retail locations where our products are featured. I'm dropping golden tickets, which are $50 essentially gift cards for Mood products. Those go live. We send out an email the morning of telling people where they're going to be dropped, and then social media once those get dropped off, we let people come and grab them, kind of like a scavenger hunt type thing. And again, to be able to raise money for the Colorectal Cancer Alliance is huge. I think our goal is $25,000. There's ways you can donate directly to them on our website, and then we will provide you matching amount of mood points, so you can get another additional discount off your next order, in addition to the one that they're going to get from your show. Um, so yeah, it's a nice coalescence of lots of different things kind of falling into place and becoming this really nice, almost like a puzzle where you're starting to see the image, and it's benefiting mood and it's benefiting the CCA and it's benefiting me, obviously. And hopefully, because of that, we can help other people.
And hopefully anyone listening to this, if they ever see any of these warning signs or, I feel that if I was waking up with night sweats and I mean to me it's like the minute I see blood, just because I know someone that wore an ostomy bag, not for colorectal, but for prostate cancer. So
Sure.
I know, so I have some awareness, not that I'm an expert at all, but
Yeah, you just pay attention to your body, and when you see those warning signs, don't take it for granted. Don't do that stubborn thing. Oh, I'm a man, I'm fine. I don't need to go to a doctor. Like, please get yourself checked out when you can.
I agree. This is my last question. Did you find, because you hear all these stereotypes like cannabis really does help when you're going through like can't like did you really feel that, cannabis really helped you with your journey when you were
Yeah,
going through
it
treatment?
absolutely did. So when it helped increase my appetite. It helped with nausea. It really, and this was um, before I really got into my treatment. I was kind of self-medicating with it. But it absolutely did. There's so many benefits. And then when I started treatment, I actually got a prescription, a pill that contains basically the active ingredients that stimulate appetite, that help with nausea, with all those things I just spoke about. So yeah, cannabis really was very beneficial to me. When I was sick, especially, like I said, I lost so much weight. I would make myself go get a burger from a fast food restaurant, probably 3,000 calories, and try and force myself to eat it every day just to maintain my weight. And I went from like 237 to 151. So I
Wow.
mean, a massive weight loss. Um, but yeah, obviously, in addition to the helping with sleep now and those sorts of things, it really was an effective way to help me through treatment.
Wow. Well, that's good to know. Well, everyone needs to go to mood.com/velvet. They could get the 20% off. They need to follow you and get all these other coupons, which is just you can get coupon upon coupon. And everyone needs to check out Mood because I think Mood has the best selection out of these products I've ever seen on a website. So
I really appreciate that. We have a project management team who does a great job coming up with these items. And obviously the bakery, the Laura, who's in charge of the bakery items, they all do a really great job formulating these. And the neat thing about mood that even I forget sometimes is that, we are geared around different moods. So if you want something that's creative, if you want something that's silly and goofy and fun, if you want something that makes you chill, we kind of tailor our products to emphasize those types of moods. And so that it is really great to be able to kind of find something that fits what you're looking
that's a good point too. Well, good luck with the trip. I saw your itinerary. Sorry if we would be doing this in person if I were in any of the places you're going to be between
for.
now
No
and October, but
worries.
I'm not. So I'm glad we got
I,
a
I
chance to talk.
Absolutely. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Anytime. Good luck with the trip and take care.
I appreciate it. Bye bye.
Bye bye.